Hey.
Changing my password on my fucking email.
Oh, no, this is... Oh, you are?
Fucking hacked again.
Can you hear
As
AD?
always. No, I can't.
Well, that's because I'm not talking yet. Now I'm talking. Can you hear me now?
There you are.
So I thought right now, since we've got all this stuff to talk about, we just might do a brain dump, and you guys talk about your thoughts about everything.
So we are on the phone with our former intern, radio superstar, and adult entertainment legend, Brandy Aniston. It's great to have you back on the show. The circumstances are a bit sad, but we wanted to chat a little bit about what had happened with August Ames. What do you know about the situation?
Well, hey guys, it's good to be back. First of all, nice to talk with you guys again. It's a heavy, I want to say probably the darkest day in the adult industry for this year, for sure. What I do know is we lost a very good friend of mine and a good friend of the industry and a beautiful girl who was far, far, far too young to have done or be gone from this world. What I know from reading about it and talking to who I know is it was a suicide, and I don't want to comment on exactly how, because I'm not sure if that's confirmed yet or not, but I've heard what people have said, and what they have said is really hard to swallow for me, because I don't want to think of any of my friends in pain like that. And it's just a really sad, scary situation, because, you know, being at my age in this business, I feel like I have a responsibility to protect the girls that are younger than me. And when something like this happens, it's just really hard to swallow. And it's scary because I've been in this business a long time, and I've had bullies after me, and I've had things happen. And, you know, I've been in a dark place a lot of times and didn't know who to turn to or didn't know where to come out, and was scared for my own, you know, safety of myself. And it just brings up a lot of dark times, I think, for a lot of us. And I hope at the end of the day, as a community and an industry, we can come together and try to be more of a family and take care of each other if someone's hurting or in need. And, you know, from what I saw online, and I'm friends with people on both sides. I'm friends with people because I know there was a Twitter debate that went on with her and a few people in is it the LG? I don't want to say this wrong.
No. I mean, we don't have to get too into detail.
Community. I don't know if that's the right 4 letters or whatnot, but they started, you know, kind of attacking her because she wrote a post talking about not wanting to work with a crossover performer, which at the end of the day, as a former performer, I can attest to that same feeling. I've canceled scenes because of it. It's a personal thing, and I don't think anybody should be shamed for wanting to maybe, you know, I think she was kind of trying to warn whoever else was working for that company, and then all the backlash came because everybody said she was homophobic, and I know, being her friend, that was so far from the truth. And for me, I didn't work with crossover performers as well, and at the same time, I don't want to be called homophobic either, because I know I'm not. So,
well, I mean, when we were talking about this on the show the other day, you know, I don't know. I don't have statistics in front of me, but I think the idea that I've heard a couple times, and, you know, correct me absolutely if I'm wrong, is that when you're working with someone who has been a crossover performer, statistically speaking, it's a more risky thing to do. And
it can be, and let me tell you why. It's because, okay, so there's a difference between a crossover performer that used to perform in that business and then now they only do straight porn. And then there's crossovers that do both, which is fine. That's totally fine. However, for some girls, it's a risk because I'm not exactly sure, and I don't want anybody to quote me on this. I don't know what their testing policies are, but from what I've heard and what people say is their testing policies aren't the same as ours. So that's why I think girls might shy away from it or think that they're not, interested in it, which at the end of the day, I think as a performer, I'm allowed to choose who I want to work with and who I don't want to work with.
Well, and again, we were talking about this, and let's assume for a moment, even though by all accounts, this was one of the kindest, most generous people of spirit you could ever hope to meet. This was a person who was in no way, shape, or form homophobic. Let's, for one teeny tiny second, though, take the giant leap that the people that were attacking her online were right. She was homophobic and she was hateful, which, as I said, she wasn't. But
right.
even if that was the case, it comes down to a very basic human American right. Your body, your choice.
Right. And as a performer, we don't owe the fans or anyone watching anything. I don't owe anybody my reason why. I don't owe them an explanation. If I chose to not perform with someone, that's my personal reason. And she was a little bit more, she voiced her opinion online. And hey, as Americans right now with Twitter and social media, I mean, everybody voices what they want to say on social media. I just think that some of the bullying, I don't think from the girls was as crazy as it was from some of the guys that I saw attacking her. And they made like crazy videos and telling her like she should just go off herself if she doesn't want to apologize. And those were intense, and those were really hard for me to watch, especially yesterday after the fact. It's a really touchy subject, and I understand the frustration from both sides. But now, as a community, what I'm having a really hard time swallowing, and why I'm kind of off social media today especially, why, if someone just died from bullying, if that's what we want to say, why are we bullying the other people back? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just a really twisted situation, and I just feel like are angry and they're going to lash out at each other, but it's no better than them lashing out at her for her opinion.
You bring up such a clear, simple point that is something we're taught when we're 5 years old, and sadly as adults we tend to forget it. You treat other people how you want to be treated, and then also I mean, everybody, when they did something wrong to somebody that had wronged them, say some kid broke your toy, so you broke their toy back, your mom and their mom would sit there and say, hey, two wrongs don't make a right.
Yeah,
and
don't make a right.
Yeah,
exactly.
and it's such a simple thing. I mean, obviously, look, you would think
with adults it would be simple.
You would think you'd be amazed at the capacity of adults to act like spoiled 5-year-olds. But
right. and that's kind of like, I know people are angry. I understand, but to go back and tell people like her blood is on your hands, that's not fair. Because, I mean, to be honest, I mean, I can't even tell you how many Twitter battles I used to get in before I decided that it wasn't worth it to fight with people on Twitter. But I did. I was totally guilty of, going back and forth with people on Twitter for a long time. And it took a while, but I learned, I don't really like being bullied by people that I don't know at all. And my thing is that I just stopped it all together. I keep my life private and my opinions to myself at this point. And, it's been a lot easier on me. But for this situation, like you said, two wrongs don't make a right. And I had to watch myself yesterday with what I was saying in my tweets, because I didn't want my friends who are on the other side of this, because I have friends on, the hatred and bullying side. And then I have friends that were part of the tweets that people were saying are bullying her. So as a whole, I just want everybody to not forget that a beautiful life was lost in all of this, and it didn't need to happen. And at the end of the day, you know, we lost another girl, maybe a week or so before that, Shyla. It's just a really scary time in our industry if we're losing this many people. And I think as adults, I would hope that we can use this as a guide to maybe pull it together and care about each other as this industry kind of used to. And like I said online, if I've had a problem with anybody in the past, at the end of the day, I love everybody in that industry. It's the industry that was like a family to me. So whether we have issues or not, I hope everyone in that business can kind of come together and you know, put aside those differences and just support each other. Because if we don't support each other, people already have a natural outlook on us as adult entertainers. So if we give them any more reason to have more opinions about us, it's just making us look worse as a community.
Yeah. And I mean, look, you're very close to it, and it is something that happened in an industry that you've been a part of. But it's also important. Look, this made international news. Like when I saw it trend on Twitter, I Googled and I was like, there's newspapers in England reporting on this. And everywhere, I was like, and well, there should be, because this is not just limited to the adult industry. It's an excellent look. If we're going to turn this into anything productive, it's an excellent reminder that we need to take a step back as a species and think about the consequences of our actions, and think about what other people are going through before running our mouths. Before we speak, we should think. 100%. A lot of people forget that, and a lot of people forget that there are real consequences to actions, and real consequences to speech, and real consequences to the way you go through life. And everybody you meet, the old expression goes, and it's a cliche, but it's a cliche because it's valid every day of your life. Everyone you meet is going through a struggle you know nothing about. So 100%. Kindness is always the best option. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I was, like I said, I was really guilty of putting a lot of my emotions out on social media for a long time. And I would sit there and get so upset when people would voice their opinions back. And then I just realized, you know, if I don't want to hear what these people have to say about me, I'm not going to put my business out there anymore. So, I mean, I hate to say it, but I just use Twitter as a tool for business and promotion now. It's hard not to throw your feelings out there, but if I can learn anything from this, it's just to kind of try to be a better person to everybody else out there online. Try to understand that, you know, whether it be a crazy fan hitting me up for whatever, I never know why or what they're going through or what they're dealing with, but I'll get messages from people like, hey, you know, your message this morning really, really changed my whole day. And I'm so thankful that, you know, you did that for me. So if Twitter can do anything, or Instagram, if I can put out positive messages and make people say, I'm happy with that. But when it comes down to it on the personal level, this public is getting worse and worse with bullying each other. And
hey, Brandy, as the news comes out, can we call you back and have more of these discussions?
Yeah. I definitely, it feels better a little bit to talk about it for sure. It's kind of hard when you just don't know who to talk to or how you can talk to about it.
Well, I think also that's another very important part of this conversation. I remember a bunch of veterans came in. Some VA folks came in from the Veterans Hospital and visited me in the studio about a year or so ago. And, you know, they were talking about their lives and what they'd done and just really incredible things, a lot of them. And I was like, if there's one way what's one thing I could do to kind of, you know, serve our veterans in a more effective way? How could I help? If there's something I could do to help, what would that be? And this guy who had been through just gnarlier stuff than any of us could ever even imagine. Right. I mean, this guy's a real man's man, shot down behind enemy lines, crawled his way back to safety. He'd been through so much. And he looked at me and he was just like, please let people know there is no shame in asking for help, and mental illness needs to be destigmatized. And I was just
100%.
like, wow, this guy has been through so much. And he was just like, there's not one of us. He's like, there's not one of us, no soldier, no civilian, no, everyone at some point in their life will be served by asking for help, and people have to know it's okay to ask for help. And I think that's, that stands true for every last one of us. And I think another important takeaway from this situation.
Right. Like I said, with this industry right now, friend or foe, or whether we've had issues or not, at this point, as a veteran of the industry, I hope any girl or anybody going through an issue will speak up and know that there's veterans in this business that will be there for you, whether we're friends or I don't even know you or not. I would be more than willing to talk to anybody that's going through things. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't want to see this industry lose anybody else.
Well, thank you so much, and we'll talk to you more. And we'd love to have you back on the show more to talk about other things, because you're also awesome to have around for super happy fun times.
I am more fun on our happier days.
We'll make with the light and amusing chit chat in the not too distant future as well. Brandy Aniston, thank you so much.
Thank you, ADA. I'll talk to you guys soon.